Their total required inventory was reduced 60%. Their service level, the in-stock percentage, jumped from 97% to 99%. And that 2% is a huge difference. That's reducing the number of exceptions by 2/3. The productivity, the output per man hour in terms of the picks per man hour were 60% improved. I did a TEDx talk on AI and humanoid robotics, in which I described some of what I saw as we can see as the trends that are going on right now. And it is shocking in terms of the speed that's being achieved in some of this transformation. We're giving AI, physical end effectors with robots. So they are moving into operations as we speak, and they will continue to penetrate into operations. The initial penetration in operations is in the 3Ds, the dangerous, the dirty, and the drudgery.
This question might be a little bit uncomfortable, but what do you think about AI replacing people like you? This is Yurii from Dataforest, and it means that we have another amazing episode of our podcast, Empower the Data, where the business begins with data and AI leads the way. And today I have a pleasure to have another guest in our virtual studio. And I can tell you, I have a lot of different podcasts before. However, this is the first time when I have a TEDx speaker here as a guest, and his name is David Kilzer. Yay! Big round of applause. All right, David. So first of all, I can tell all of you guys that David is extremely busy person, and even right now, we found that very tight spot in his schedule to record this podcast while he's traveling. He's not recording this from his office. He just found some time to record it in the morning before his business routine started. And I really, really appreciate it. So David, thank you for finding the time for our podcast today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you. For those who doesn't know, David, not just a regular person or regular CEO. As I already mentioned, he's a TEDx speaker. He's a founder, principal at Strategic Transformation Advisors, and the chairman at Delivery AZ. David, can you please tell me a little bit more about yourself, about your role, and how do you manage to combine all these positions and kind of managing them properly and efficiently?
Managing them properly and efficiently. I certainly hope that is indeed the case. I can tell you that it's a lot of fun, and it brings a challenge every day in terms of managing my time, being effective, using tools to be as effective as I can. And when you talked about those different roles at STA, our Strategic Transformation Advisors, which is what I'm working on right at this point up here in the lovely Northwest portion of the U.S. at a client site, and then the deliveries, and I've got a small coffee hobby business, and certainly deliveries, and trying to keep that focused. It takes a set of tools that are AI based to make it all feasible, possible. I've got James, who's my chief agent, handles my email every day, and it makes it possible to spot the high spots to keeps me on track from the important things. Takes care of the note taking and recording, and really makes life feasible to still have a personal life and manage the other portions of it. So tools are an important part of what makes that possible. The other key part of it, which is I can detect in your voice as well when we talk, is you got to have fun every day. And I can't think of I've spent a lot of time in business on this earth. I've got 50 years putting in automation systems around the world. And wow. I can't think of another time in a half century when there's been as many dynamic forces that are reshaping the business landscape as we sit and participate in it. So it's great fun. It's a great challenge every day. I hope you're finding it the same on your side. It has to be exciting for us.
So, David, that's great. And now we know a little bit more about you and how you feel about the business that you're running. But can you tell me a little bit more about the strategic transformation advisors? What exactly you guys do and what helps you to stand out from the crowd?
What we do is actually captured in the name. It's transforming companies. It's taking them to the next level. It's breaking them out of their whatever constraints that they're currently facing. It's helping them recognize uh, and document their opportunities, understand what it takes to achieve those opportunities, and help them mobilize to achieve those opportunities. So we're all about transforming our clients.
Okay.
That's captured in the name. And transformation is never a incremental change. It is it is indeed a break from the past entirely. And actually that's not exactly accurate. It's discontinuous in terms of the flow from the past, but it builds on the past.
Wow.
You start from something. You start with a set of strengths and capabilities, and you see what the opportunities in the future are, and then we help our clients map the transformation that they have to make internally and externally sometimes to really reshape their business to achieve that future vision that the world has presented to them.
Okay. That sounds pretty familiar to us because basically we kind of doing the same thing from our side, but not from the strategic consultancy side, but from the technical, from the implementation side. And may I ask you, are you sticking to some specific domain and you work with them specific type of companies, or are you covering some quite a bit a wide range of the companies? Who's your clients most of the time?
The client is operating companies that handle physical product, and that could be any place in the value chain. Like the client that I'm working with here, I actually got approval yesterday to speak freely about them. Is a very large HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning distributor here in the Northwest. It's a preeminent one here, and it's a company called Gensco. It's a billion-dollar family company, very well run. Exciting group of people to be around, uh, and a lot of their cost and is tied up in meeting their primary objective, which is service to their customers. Uh, they are unbelievably service oriented. Over this very large geographic area, they have a commitment to their clients to essentially supply them with product overnight to any building site in the Pacific Northwest. A lot of times it's 20 hours driving.
Oh,
So the operating costs or operating window inside their fulfillment facility is really narrow. And so to grow in that, and take advantage of the really enthusiastic customers that they've earned through that service network, uh, they're putting in a number of different automation elements. Uh, and so they're archetypical of the type of client that we work with. They got a physical product; they have to handle it. They have to, create the data streams that support the movement of that product,
mhm.
and we help them put the end effectors in place, if you will.
Okay.
But those end effectors don't work without what you do, which is accurate, timely, well structured data.
Yeah.
That's the basic feedstock.
Yeah, actually, that was my next question. You already start answering that. I want to ask, like, which role data plays in your clients' businesses, and as I can see, that's pretty crucial.
Yeah, it's crucial in their business. There's actually a flow of data that through the engagement that we have with the client. First thing we have to do is look at their history and their current state. So that is understanding what their product master is,
Hmm.
what their order histories are, what their fulfillment records has been in terms of achieving those product movements, And that is from a they're a distribution company. They're also a manufacturing company. A lot of the sheet metal components that is used in the HVAC industry are manufactured internally. So they have the classic materials requirements planning cycle in the inventory well, and then planning their own inventory levels, not their purchased components, but their manufactured components. All that takes immense amount of accurate and timely data to be performed effectively and efficiently. Mm-hmm. And so the first part of the data is in our side of it, from our perspective, is looking at that history, looking at their performance, and using that to evaluate them as an operating company. So it is data that would drive what we would look to as a recommendation for their operations. Product master data, what size of product, what are the weights, dimensions, the handling characteristics, the fragility, packaging levels, all of that that information there, the inventory planning levels, what the inventory pipeline looks like on the inbound, what are the delivery requirements on the outbound, what are the lead times associated with any of those steps, and blending those all together and looking at their operational history and seeing where there are opportunities for improvement. And mm-hmm. So from all of that data, we start to craft a picture of where their next generation of capabilities will lie. Where it is going to be maximally effective when achieve their business goals. And we paint that picture with them in terms of capabilities. That's building on the data set that they've provided us. We start structuring different alternative ways to achieve those outcomes. And the word alternatives is critical here. We're pretty good. I've been doing this for a lot of years. So
I have no doubt
the first thing out of our heads is usually 80% correct. But 80% is nowhere near good enough. So we force ourselves to take that concept and put it aside and start again from scratch and develop another concept. And then we will compare the two elements that we developed. And always in a comparison, there will be things that say, we can achieve a better return, a better outcome if we use some elements of both. So that that process discipline to go through alternatives, go through a rigorous evaluation, and then in the end, usually a hybridization of the recommended solution, and lay that out for them. And so now we got that picture, and then we develop the financials behind it. What is that going to require from capital resources? What is that going to take from time and management commitment? And do the financial justifications with them. We're not going to do anything that pushes the boundary of their company's liquidity, but we work with them to develop that financial picture, and then lay out a timeline to achieve those. We set up milestones that are risk managed as we make that transition, that are also financially responsible in terms of managing the cash flows and maximizing the speed of the return. But that all starts with data. Data is the grist. It's the raw material. Sorry, you've got me excited about talking about what we do. I have fun every day.
That's totally fine. Actually, this is why you here. I want to hear your thoughts, not telling mine. But yeah, I agree with about the things that you're saying. And I have a question regarding the most challenging parts of getting the data from the clients. Where you see the biggest challenge, is that collecting the data from their side? Is that an analytical of the data that they have? Or the next usage of that clean data for the more educated decisions in the future? Where do you think the biggest challenge for the clients is?
It's not a typical. There are patterns that go from client to client, but every client is unique. Mm-hmm. But the one that is most occurring right now with data gaps that we see is information on their product masters. What are the physical characteristics of the different componentry or units that they purchase, transform, and sell, handle through their manufacturing and fulfillment processes. That has not been important in the past. Well, let's say that's always been important at some level, but they haven't had required the detail that is necessary today with looking at the automation opportunities. Right now, I'm up here with a client, Gensco. We're putting this new facility together. There's 5 different types of robots in that facility, handling products all the way from a tiny thermostat to a multi-ton HVAC system that sits on the top of a hospital someplace. So, it's a fairly wide range of different components that needs to be handled, any one of which are just as critical. Without that little fuse, sometimes the big system doesn't run. So, hospitals are one of their primary clients. These are critical use systems that can't afford to be out of service. So they also do a large residential business. I don't want to limit Gensco to just the commercial side, but any one of those components can be absolutely critical to their unbelievably high service commitment to their clients. But to put them in the right automation requires information on what their physical size is, not how important they are to the total system or how much they cost, but how much they weigh, whether or not they can go into a vertical lift module, or whether they should be going into a pallet shuttle system, or whether they can be moved on an AMR or require a roboticized forklifts for movement throughout the facility. We call them AGVs, even though that's a little bit of a cannibalization of a term that's been around for a while. That data is new in my experience in its level of criticality because of the automation opportunities that are available today. So it's all critical information. There is no non-critical information, but there is some that is more topical right now because of the other changes going on in the industry, and that is, to my experience, parts master physical information around the componentry and products that they handle.
So here we both agree that there is no such a thing as not important data. All of them are important, and we cannot miss any steps in those that I mentioned when you're collecting data, when you analyze the data, and you put it in the next workflow for the next usage. But I mean, you mentioned that you need to collect this and that type of data, and that's quite a lot. And my question is, do you do all those things manually, or automation plays some role in this process? How do you manage to analyze all the data and get some value out of that data?
Yeah, getting value out of the data requires good data, as you pointed out. And the processes that we use are increasingly AI-centric in terms of going through data, seeing patterns, going through data and finding commonalities, going through an order history file and finding out where you find product affinities that are somehow never as apparent to the human eye as it is to the systems that analyze them. Going through data sets and having the analytical tool also play a big role in the data quality assurance step, if you will. Mm-hmm. That using AI, using an Excel-based or a spreadsheet-based sortation can quickly identify specific anomalies. But there are other areas that are not so clearly delineated in that data set that an AI system approach to that data analysis can surface, and we find those increasingly important. Uh, that the non purely heuristically identifiable differences, uh, those that allow outside of that very uh, traditional data set and data and analytic techniques, uh, are increasingly important. When you get to the impact of the outliers are multiplied when you put automation in place.
Mhm.
Humans are tremendously adaptable in a process. They can recognize differences and react to them. You put in an automation, you don't have that same flexibility.
Yeah.
So having a design process that helps you understand what those anomalies, those data irregularities are, and translate that into what are the accommodations that have to be made to them are critical for project success. And so we increasingly rely on AI centric tools to do that analytical work.
When you're saying AI centric tools, do you have some specific tools in your mind, or that's something that you help companies customly develop for them? What are we talking about?
Right now, for example, one of the most active areas right now we have is an area called slotting.
Mhm.
In any distribution center, the most expensive thing from an operating cost standpoint is walking. Companies spend more on walking than anything else. I don't care what level of automation that they have in there. If they look at the time that's spent by their personnel moving from point to point to access the materials, it's not the time taking the access or prepare the materials. It's the time in transit between them. And so one of the key techniques, the really low lying fruit, even though we do a lot of automation, one of the lowest of the low lying fruit, if you will, you're getting the quick return, is to take and put their materials in positions that are uh, congruent with their speed and frequency of accession. And so by reconfiguring where material is stored in a warehouse, you can have a tremendous impact on the improvement. You can improve tremendously the overall facility productivity.
Mhm.
And doing that, recognizing the velocity of a part and its family across the scope of what a company stores and retrieves and sends either to their manufacturing lines or to their customers in terms of order fulfillment, and understanding what can be gained by co-locating those and putting the ones that have the most frequent access uh, as close as possible to their point of consumption in that process. Uh, that is something that AI analytic techniques that we have a very very good CIO in our organization that he's really not a CIO. He's also a full partner in the firm. Uh, has put together a powerful set of tools to look through a company's data set and extract that vital information and collate it and provide it in an actionable format.
And thank you for sharing. And another question: if we're talking about the productivity, you said that it can be boosted pretty high. Uh, do you know like some exact numbers or like what kind of actually percentage we're talking about in increasing that productivity? I mean, as an example, like we work with one UK company in the insurance field, and we kind of rebuild the entire platform for them, and we help them with integration of AI core module into their platform, cut off about 10,000 manual working hours monthly, which is kind of a big deal. And if we're talking about these businesses that you're working with, what's the increase of this capabilities or are you expecting from AI in average? Is that like 5, 10, 20, or 50 or 90%? I don't know.
It in large measure it depends on where the starting point is. Some companies that we've worked with, I don't want to give uh,
Don't give me the names, give me the numbers.
I don't want to be too derogatory, but so let me be a little circumspect. They're in the mining industry, and had warehouses scattered all over next to different mine sites, and the commonality of product across them was very high, and so they are managing the same inventory at multiple locations in a consumption chain, and were losing tremendous cost in terms of, on a purchasing side, the frequency they had to place a purchase order because they treated each one of them separately. Uh, they had to rethink how they were doing that. Take some elements of those inventories and put them in a central location, and feed from that standpoint. So their total required inventory was reduced 60%.
Wow.
Their service level, the in stock percentage, uh, jumped from like 97% to 99%, and that 2% is a huge difference, especially at the volume of
Not
money.
100. They still have something to work on.
Yeah, 100. 100 is is always a goal, and it's always just out of your reach, but it has to be the goal. Uh, so that that's a pretty remarkable improvement. If you look at it the other way around, that's reducing the number of exceptions by 2/3. When they jump from those numbers. Uh, the productivity, the output per man hour in terms of the picks per man hour, were 60% improved.
That's great result.
Because we put some automation in there, and a lot of it was just product affinity, that we would co-locate product that tended to get there was a demand that would occur concurrent across those product sets, and so we would locate them concurrently, so they would essentially be going to a single pick face, single storage unit, and being able to access everything they required for a particular order deed at one of the mines. So. Pretty good results. Most of that came from just the co-location. So without the capital, they got a huge jump in productivity, uh, and that is not atypical. Another client that was automotive aftermarket for trucks.
Mm-hmm.
Trucks are very popular in the U.S.
We work with that in that area too. So yeah.
So everyone drives a pickup truck, and everyone likes to characterize their vehicle a little differently. So this company supplied a lot of specialty parts to them, and in that industry, you had the same thing. It's very competitive from a service level. You had to get the part to them. It's competitive from a cost standpoint as well. So. You have to be quick and cost efficient to survive in that industry. Yeah. And
like everywhere nowadays.
Yeah. So the understanding what get picked most frequently, being able to put that right next to the packing station, and a short, quick trip onto the UPS truck or the FedEx truck or whatever. was very critical in terms of them maintaining their dominant position in the market. They're very successful, and what we did was very successful in improving that productivity. And in that particular case, distribution costs are a large part of their available margin. So the impact on company productivity, or I'm saying profitability, was outsized in terms of some of the numbers. So by making a few percent change in the cost structure, they're able to double their achieved product margins by improving their in-stock percentage and their rapid service. They were able to achieve penetration in the market. So if you're growing your share of the market and you're growing profitability at the same time, those are trends that are good for any company.
Yeah, that's everybody. That's what everybody's aiming for. And another question, you mentioned that basically the efficiency was increased about like a 60%. What do you think? Is that going to happen some near time that AI will replace all the humans and the companies like your clients have, and everything will be completely automated? Or AI is still just a tool that can help people to push their productivity on the next level?
No, we're giving AI, physical end effectors with robots. So they are moving into operations as we speak, and they will continue to penetrate into operations. The initial penetration into operations is in the 3Ds: the dangerous, the dirty, and the drudgery, or the dull, as it's sometimes called. So those 3Ds are going to be attacked first, but the incursions won't stop there. They will continue in the areas where it is proven to be profitable and effective for business. And I think the change from there that we're going to be seeing over the next 8 years. Shameless plug: I did a TEDx talk on AI in humanoid robotics, in which I described some of what I saw as what we can see as the trends that are going on right now. And it is shocking in terms of the speed that's being achieved in some of this transformation. I've just not seen anything like that in the past. And it's the combination of the two. I mean, when TCP IP Internet Protocol came together with packet switching, boom, there was the internet. Those two technologies developed on a separate timeline, and the combination of those two is what we take for as one of the basic necessities today. I think that the combination of humanoid robotics and AI is going to be just as powerful of a combination of different technologies and how they fit together. Its impact on the world is going to be marked, and will take some surprising turns as it goes forward. And it's a frightening change in some aspects, but it's something that can supercharge human lifestyles. I think it will have that capability. I'm a big believer in what's called sustainable abundance, but I'm clear-eyed about the transitions that we're going to have to go through to get to the other side.
Okay. And in this case, I just want to ask pretty much the same question, but a little bit different and tricky direction. This question might be a little bit uncomfortable, but what do you think about AI replacing people like you? Like, is that possible to replace the person and the services that you provide with AI? Nobody wants to hear about that. Nobody wants to be replaced, but nowadays we all have to think about it. And what do you think about this?
I think that not in totality, but in terms of what I would consider the drudgery, especially, it has a chance to make me a lot more effective by taking over a lot of those tasks. Uh, at least at the current scope, until AGI and when the regenerative improvement starts, which maybe not that too far in the future, that might open up a whole new set of capabilities that I haven't yet seen yet. That there are still critical elements of foreseeing the unforeseen that the human does well.
Yeah.
And that imaginative spark is something that I see that is central to strategic transformation advisors. Looking over the horizon, imagining what's going to be in the next evolution, and positioning our clients for that. I think that's something that again, my half century of experience putting out automation systems equips me to do. And whether or not an AI system could replicate that or improve on it, I don't think that's outside of the realm of possibility. I don't think I'm threatened by it. I think I'm more excited about it. Because there's always every client engagement I've had over my many years doing this. I look back on them and say, "Oh man, if I'd have just known this at that point, and I could have done something a little bit differently." Guided the client in a little bit different direction. And not that I'm ever, thinking it was that the trip wasn't worth taking, but we could have always made the outcome even more exciting. And so that's what I'm hoping with AI is to augment my ability to iterate alternative solutions. I mentioned how important it is to push yourself outside of your comfort zone and think about different ways of attacking a problem, and then test those ideas at the, bounce them off each other, and from that determine what is the overall optimal. AI, really leverages and expands our capability to do that, and that's exciting. It's yes, it can be threatening, but
people are scared from everything new. Just remember that industrial revolution in the beginning of the 90s. So yeah.
I mean, there are still Luddites, that are frightened of progress. I look at that is some of our role is to work with our client organizations and to the extent that we can help them, we break down those barriers. There's some things that you can do as a client. There's or as a consultant. There's some things that a society has to address, but within what's within our reach as consultants, we really committed to help make that transition effective and humane and exciting and beneficial for humankind.
Yeah, that sounds very optimistic, and I'm really happy that you share your vision with me of the entire process today. And we're running out of time slowly but surely. And as always, I have one last question to our guest, because we already have this kind of positive note in the end. David, what would you say to our listeners as a final statement of this conversation?
I don't want to frighten anybody, but the AI, run with it or get run over by it. So invest in yourself, be excited about the future, prepare yourself to participate in that exciting future, be open to change, and be optimistic.
Sounds great. I wouldn't say this better, but as I always say, as I think, AI not going to replace the human beings, but the human beings who know how to use it will definitely replace those humans who doesn't know how to use it. And I think that's kind of complement the statement that you just said. What do you
Yeah.
think?
I think that's where we're aligned in many ways there, Yuri. I've really enjoyed this conversation this morning. It's been fun.
Yeah, I want to say one more time, thank you for finding the time in your tough schedule, even when you're traveling. I really, really appreciate it. To our listeners, I want to say, guys, thank you for being with us. That was David Kilzer, Strategic Transformation Advisors Principal. And we're going to put a little bit more information about him and his company in the description under this video. So please just use the links, investigate the question. If you have any question, feel free to reach him out. And I think he will help you to make your business more efficient, more productive, and more up to date. Is that correct, David?
That's our goal. That's our track record as well. So we're confident.
So, thank you so much for today's conversation. To our listeners, guys, that's not going to be our last podcast. Next week, we're going to record another one with another guest, and I hope we're going to put this one online very soon, and we will let you know on LinkedIn about that. So, stay with us, stay healthy, stay focused, stay safe. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day, and ciao for now.